Welcome, welcome, welcome to a new episode of The Usual Saints. I'm Mike D, here with Vinnie and laughing schmuck Jeremy, who is laughing at my pukey voice intro, as he and my wife call it. So, Jeremy, why don't you like my intros? What's going on?
It's not that I don't like your intro. I just expect there to be, 7 straight at 7, and we're giving away a car this weekend. Come out to the auto dealer and get a free hot dog and meet us, and it's just what it sounds like.
So what you're saying is a radio station should hire me.
No, used car lot. A used car sales. Right. Yeah.
I'm all about recording ads for anyone who wants to hire me. I will read whatever you put in front of me. Mostly, I can't be like these people on Cameo and just read anything and everything, because I don't want to accidentally salute Nazis and things like that. So
come on out and spin our prize wheel.
There you go. See, Jeremy got it. Jeremy, you're going to do the outro this week.
Come on down for the pig races. If your pig comes in first, you get $500 off your car.
Sunday.
Pretty much, yeah. That's the voice you go for. All right.
That's not what I go for. But anyway, hey, so it hasn't, let's see. This week has been a little different. But Vinny's got some news. Let's start with Vinny. Vinny, what's your news? I don't think we talked about it on the show. Did we? Did we talk about it last week? Things go out of my mind so fast. I don't know.
No, I hadn't gotten that news yet, actually.
Okay.
I got it the next day. And that news being that I did get a job. I am now part of the workforce once again.
So did you give somebody else your hookup for the oranges on the freeway, or?
No, I'm still going to do that too. I'm going to do that too. That's where I meet interesting people.
And DoorDash.
And DoorDash, exactly. Well, DoorDash is still going to be around. I mean, because it's a good side hustle. It's easy. It's not bad money. So I'll keep that. But yeah, I'm working for a company called Encompass. It's a global broadcasting company. I believe I will be involved in a lot of sports broadcasting, from what I understand. So that's that. And I start that on Monday, 11:45. I go in for orientation. So I'm looking forward to that, and onward and upward.
And are you happy to kind of be in the same industry that you've been working in for, and I mean me to an extent before I dropped out, but that we've been working in since CSB, I guess?
Well, I think it's going to be a different culture at this place. It's not just strictly news.
Right.
And of course it's not local, not just local news. So I think it'll be different. Yeah, I did want to get out of that industry as far as news broadcasting is concerned, but this is a little bit different. It's more in the technical end of it, and it'll be a different genre, sports more so than news. And this is from what I understand. This is what I've been told going into it. So I'll know more come Monday, and we'll talk about it again.
So if we see a news article about 3 a.m. in the middle of some Australian rules football match, it switches over to porn, that means you hit the wrong button?
That means I made the switch, yes. That's right.
Just checking.
Might be intentional, might not be. We'll find out.
Yeah, looking for a way out, that's the way to go.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I'll let you guys know what channel it is before I do it.
But hey, the good thing is, now you got the income coming in. So even if in Encompass, I don't know anything about you. So if anything from Encompass, anyone from Encompass listens to this, hey, I'm not saying anything bad, but if it turns out not to be the job for you, you could always, just look for work while you're employed. But, we'll see. Hopefully everything works out and it turns out well for you. I mean, because you did pretty much not a master control, but, you did, E&G and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, you did technical stuff over at the other place anyway, so.
Yeah, but it was a lot closer to I had producers hawking me, and,
right.
It was just different. It was a very stressful situation. And actually, there's a guy that worked with me at WSB up here. He's working there now, and he says that it's much, much better there, a much nicer culture, and everybody's really nice, and, it's not as stressful as the news, live news being immediate and stressful. And with producers and directors and news directors and that type of people walking in and out of your space every 15 seconds, So
Do you? Is it still is it in Atlanta? I assume.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. It's just outside. Well, yeah, it's in the perimeter of Atlanta. So, yeah, it's nearby Atlanta. So yeah, but I'm optimistic about it. As far as going into it, I don't really have shell shock from WSB. I kind of worked it out since I've not been in the business for like 6 months. So I'm good. I'm looking forward to it.
Now, you being in Atlanta, I'm just curious. I don't know if you listen to the podcast I do. Do you guys listen to Up and Vanished or Atlanta Monster, anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No.
So a company called Tenderfoot TV puts those out. Those are really good podcasts, so I highly recommend any listener or you guys listen to them.
Check them out.
They're based out of Atlanta. So I didn't know if you ever had heard of them or had anything like that. They also use a company called Resonate Recordings, which I guess is based out of Atlanta. I think apparently the same building.
That I've heard of, yeah.
Okay, so I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff going on in Atlanta. I mean, I know when I tried to get in up there, I mean, it's a big film industry. It's podcast, radio, TV. I mean, obviously with the economy taking a hit, it affected you, but like we discussed, it may not have been the pandemic. It may have just been the takeover, but
right. But yeah, but like you said, go ahead.
That's why they call it Hotlanta.
That's right. Hotlanta, baby.
Please tell me no one actually calls it that, right?
No, only the people that don't live here. Nobody calls it that here. But yeah, I mean, Tyler Perry, he has his, huge facility up here, for filmmaking and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's a hotbed now for making films. And I'm sure it'll be even bigger, once this COVID thing gets under control. I think everybody's kind of shying away from doing big projects, but it should pick back up again.
I think it's more so in this country, and obviously that's what we're talking about. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the news, Thor, Love and Thunder, the fourth Thor movie, just started filming in Australia the other day. And I mean, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that Australia pretty much has everything nipped in the bud. Obviously, the new variants are probably throwing everyone for a loop, but they don't have the amount of cases and deaths and everything that we have here. And obviously, Germany might try to say, oh, sorry, I thought you were going to try to say that the same population's not the same. That's usually what you go to, but it's not.
No. I was going to say, Australia also getting ready to have the Australian Open tennis tournament, and they told the players coming in, a couple of people tested positive on some of the charter planes they were used to bring players in. Anybody on those planes was quarantined to their hotel room for 2 weeks before the tournament. No practicing, no going anywhere. If you leave your room, I think you'll be arrested, honestly. But yeah, they're pretty hardcore about their quarantining. It's not like here where it was you need to quarantine for 2 weeks. No one's going to check up on you. No one's going to know where you are. But we trust the honor system, which the honor system always works.
No, that's exactly what Howard Stern talked about with Australia. Like you just said, I don't know if it's police enforced or what, but literally they make you stay in a hotel for 2 weeks, I think like you said. Yeah. And that's how they got it under control. I mean, New Zealand and Australia, I think, are probably two of the top countries that got this thing under control really quickly because their leadership determined this is what we're going to do, and it worked. And
they mandate it and they make it protocol and they enforce it.
And Australia has one of the harshest immigration of what you think of as a free Western type nation. They have one of the hardest immigration laws. You don't go there and hang out if you don't have a reason to be there or have permission.
Okay.
Hell, I mean, Johnny Depp and his wife at the time and their dog ended up having to pay some huge fines because they lied about whether they were bringing their dog into the country or not. I mean, they don't play, and they don't need a wall because guess what? You're not going to walk into Australia, so there's no worry about anybody getting into the country without them knowing.
There's an advantage there's an advantage to being a huge island. in the middle of shark-infested waters.
I have a lot of respect for Australia, and I've always liked Australia. I like the idea of it. There's a lot of scary stuff down there, and I know this is totally not on our list of things to talk about, but it's just something that came up naturally in conversation. I mean, you guys heard of the Port Arthur thing? I think it happened in Tasmania in the 90s. It was like the largest gun massacre up to that point, especially in Australia. It's the largest ever happened there. But like in the world up to that point, it was like one of the largest, like 50 something people or 40 something people died. And they immediately did a gun buyback and B, an immediate anything bigger than a handgun. Nope. No assault rifles, no nothing, no legal any longer. And so when they did that, I think that changed a lot of the way crime was going in the country, and obviously they haven't had an incident like that since. And obviously it's not going to stop all criminals. You can't ever stop all criminals, but that's just another thing. I don't know. And their government is based on the parliamentary system. They got a prime minister, and so it's not like it's always liberal. It's not always conservative. They're always back and forth. I think there are actually a lot of conservatives there. But I mean, I think it's common sense stuff. Like when you get a massacre like that, like we have in this country, like with all these gun massacres, and that, I guess that relates to, Marjorie, what's her name? Marjorie Green something, the congresswoman who just got put on the education board and just got elected, and she's chasing David Hogg around, trying to say that it's a false flag at the shooting down here in Parkland. It's just crazy. This country, I mean, listen, I know I love the country, but at the same time, things like that just drive me up the wall. When people say that didn't happen, there was a false flag, that this thing never happened, Sandy Hook didn't happen. I'm all over the board tonight, guys. I know, but I go on one topic and then it leads me to another place, and then, so.
Yeah, that's the way conversations go, man. That's what it's all about.
That might be one. That might be one we should table until we can all think about that one ahead of time.
No, it's fine. Yeah, we can talk about it.
Talk about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like I said, I didn't come in anything planned. This conversation is leading me where it leads me because I have ADHD and it's going ba 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 ba.
All over the place.
But, hey, that can lead us to the next question. I don't want to assume every shooting has to do with rage, but let's talk about road rage because Jeremy was so big on that last week. So, Jeremy, was there a particular incident that happened? Or?
So my wife, driving in the car with me, she says I have road rage. I can't disagree too much because I will curse and scream and yell at people who are stupid and dumbasses on the road. Yeah. If you can't figure out how to use a turning lane, which I understand a lot of states don't have those. It's a Florida thing, I think. At least I haven't seen them in many places other than Florida. But if you can't understand the concept of getting in the turn lane, slowing down then, or, how a circle works, you don't stop before you get in the circle unless someone's coming. And then once you're in your circle, keep fucking going until you get out of the circle, or I'm going to hit you from behind because I actually know what the fuck I'm doing in a circle.
Oh, yeah.
So the old people that come to Florida, I may scream and yell. My wife calls it road rage. I call it,
commentary.
Venting.
It's commentary. I do the same thing. I don't actually yell at people, but I do yell in the car. And my rage has gotten worse as I get older. Well, actually, the longer I drive around here in Atlanta, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, everybody thinks they have the worst drivers in the world where they live because of, traffic and all. But, Atlanta's got to be the top 5 worst places to drive. And
see, I'm not yelling at somebody I don't pull up next to them and yell at them. I'm not flicking them off, if I'm next to them. Might flick them off as they drive away or I drive away. But if I'm up next to someone, I'm not taking the chance that they're going to get, pull a gun and
I don't actually confront
feel
anybody.
Threatened.
Sometimes half the time I don't even look at them when I finally do get up to them. I may glance just to see what they look like, and see if it matches the picture I have of them in my head. But,
see if their hair really is blue or not.
See if they are actually a clown. But, I'm the same way, man. I'm constantly yelling at stupid moves by people up here.
Now, I also root for someone who's driving like an asshole to get pulled over.
Oh, so do I.
That to me is joyous when when somebody's just driving like an idiot, weaving in and out. And I've had it twice in my life. Once the guy just got pulled over by a cop. The other one was a guy on a crotch rocket who laid it down about 150 yards ahead of me after he had weaved in and out of traffic going down the main boulevard of my town. I thought that was funny. He wasn't hurt. He popped right back up and tried to pick his bike up, but it made my heart feel good that that guy got some retribution for his idiot ways.
I do like seeing people get pulled over that are driving like assholes. You almost want to pull up next to them and just laugh. Just say, finally, yeah, you got caught, dick. That's what you get for driving like an asshole. But yeah.
I don't think Jeremy, knowing him for as long as I do, I don't think he has road rage because, as he specified, I think road rage more infers like where people stop and either confront each other.
Right.
Yeah, he definitely has anger management issues that he probably should speak to a counselor about. But hey, I'm in the same boat. I'll curse, I'll say things that I don't say in front of other people if people are pissing me off when they're driving. And he knows how I drive. I literally set the cruise control and I try to stay in the right lane
to the speed limit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to get another speeding ticket. Last speeding ticket I got was September 11th. September 11th, 2001. I got a speeding ticket on the way to Orlando on State Road 60. And it was before everything. So it's not like the FHP officer just didn't give me a break. He did it before and then whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't want to deal with that anymore. It's not worth the money I just leave on time. I make sure I get there, and that's that. Even when I was working for the news stations, they would get pissed off when I wouldn't speed places. And I'm he's like, I'll pay your speeding ticket. I'm like, are you going to pay my insurance when it goes up? No? Okay, then fuck you.
Yeah.
I usually stay within about 5 of the speed limit.
I do that on the streets, but if I'm on the highway, I'm hitting 80 at least. I already got a super speeder ticket. Which is an additional $200 on top of the original ticket. I ended up with like a $375 ticket for a super speeder. I was 25 miles over the speed limit.
I've never heard of that. That sounds like a prize. You win like, hey, you're the super speeder.
A super speeder. Yeah, what do I get? You get the $375 ticket. Tell them what he's won, Johnny. Yeah, it's like... Yeah, it's a super speeder thing. I guess every state has something different. I don't know what they call it, but I imagine in Florida it might be the same. Where if you're going so many miles over the speed limit, you get additional fines. I don't know.
I think they just call it reckless driving.
Reckless driving, yeah. So
I think they tried to pass a law at one point. If you were going over, I think if they got you over 105, they were going to be able to take your motorcycle or car. From you. They were trying to pass that law, but I don't think it passed.
That's hauling ass, 105. Holy shit.
Yeah, there's no reason to be going that fast. I'm fine.
No, not really.
Go ahead and take someone's car or bike. I'm good with that because I don't ever plan on being that fast.
Yeah, but on surface streets, I'm with Jeremy. I usually try to stay around 5 or 7, between 5 and 7 miles an hour over if I do go over.
When I was a teenager, I had the radar detector and used to race Mike back and forth to high school or Jimmy to see who could get back and forth quickest.
Oh, you had that little green thing. That's right.
Now I use Waze. So I usually know where the cops are, but like I said, I'm usually not going more than 4 or 5 over the speed limit anyway.
And plus here on surface streets, it's very hard to go fast with the traffic volume. If you hit 25 and a 35, you're doing good.
Did we ever talk about the topic of young people and shitty jobs last week? I know we touched on shitty jobs, but
I put that on there. I put that on the list. Yeah.
Did we talk about that? I don't recall. I don't think
so.
What you got, Vinny? What happened?
Well, it's not original from me. I mean, what's his face? Louis C.K. used to do a bit about young people complaining about having shitty jobs.
Whenever he wasn't masturbating in front of female comedians.
Exactly. But anyway, he goes on to say things like, it's funny when you hear young people complain about having a shitty job, anywhere from 16 to 20 years old, making fries and cooking burgers and shit like that, making, $8 an hour or whatever the hell they make. And, for them to complain about it, it's like, well, yes, that's why you have that job, because you're that young. You haven't done shit yet. You've been sponging off your parents for all these years. Now, all of a sudden, you want to be getting paid, $25 an hour because you're flipping burgers at Wendy's. So it doesn't. That's who takes the shitty jobs. The young people in school, working through school, shit like that. And the reason it came into my mind was because I was making a pickup with DoorDash at a Popeyes, and the manager happened to be there and was standing behind the counter, and she kept telling this girl to do certain things, can you go get this, go get a bag of fries out of the freezer, can you sweep that up? Can you mop that up? Like that. This girl started saying every time she told her to do something, she goes, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. And I'm like, you want to go home? You're sitting, you're making money. You got a job, shitty job. Yeah. But you're 16 years old. You're supposed to have that shitty job. That's what you get when you're 16 years old. If you want to do better, open up your own business or whatever. But, for her to be complaining like that, and I'm like, it's different now, man. When I was that age and I was working, I wanted to work, man. I wanted that money. I was making my own money. So I was like, yeah, if I wanted to go drinking that weekend, I had to put in some hours. So that's the way it works.
If you wanted to go drinking when you were 16 years old, working.
That's right. When I was 13.
And speaking of which, I saw your pictures you put on Facebook, Vinnie, putting the homecoming picture up. And
homecoming homecoming, and then at the bar, out on a patio bar down in Pompano Beach.
Look at you, man. I've never seen you like that, man. I only know this Vinnie. I don't know the other.
Yeah. Years ago. I used to be something back in the day.
Before we get off the jobs, where did you get your first job, Vinnie?
My first job was called Weintraub Associates. What I did was folded boxes into the shape of things that were going to be stuffed into them. I made $4 an hour, and I loved it.
Wait, what year was that?
That would be 1970. Hold on. 1977.
You made $4 an hour in 77. I made $4.25 an hour in 96 at my first job, Cobb Cinemas.
Yeah.
I made $4.15.
The guy did pay good, man.
That's crazy. That's
I was 13 years old. I had to get a work permit to work.
13.
Yeah.
I worked for my parents at 14, and then when I turned 16, I got a job at McDonald's for $4.15 an hour.
There you go.
They gave me a raise when I was getting ready to leave once, and so I got all the way up to $4.25.
What was yours? 4.15. What do you remember? What month or year you started? I started May '96, and I'm pretty sure minimum wage is $4.25. Maybe it went up a dime between when you started and I started. I don't know, but
I started pretty soon after I turned 16, so I might have been a few months before you.
Gotcha. Speaking, this leads on to something we may or may not talk to State Representative Anna Escamani about, but I don't know if you guys know, besides the federal minimum wage, I think Florida has also voted to raise its minimum wage from, I think, $10 relatively soon in the next year or two, and then to $15 by, I forget, 2026, 2030. I don't know.
Yeah,
one
I think it's $1 a year.
Yeah, so there's a representative, I forget, I have to look at a list, I don't have it right in front of me because I'm playing off my memory. He introduced a bill that teenagers and B, people who are released from prison should not be making that amount. Their minimum wage should be lower than the average Joe's minimum wage, just because A, they're teenagers and they don't deserve to make that much, and B, people released from prison shouldn't make that much. I think that is absolutely ridiculous. It should be across the board. There should not be different minimum wages for different people, whether it's a teenager. And I don't want a 16-year-old making the same as me if I start the same position as them. But you know what? If I take that job, that's what happens. And you got to work your way up. You got to find what you need to do. But
there's two ways to think of it, though, because there is a bias against hiring ex-cons, and teenagers, their availability can be a pain in the ass. As I've managed teenagers before, they're not as helpful as having an adult in there. So that also might entice companies to still be willing to hire them if they're hiring less people. Might actually hire more teenagers and ex-cons than they would otherwise.
Yeah.
Because
Jeremy just froze.
Jeremy, you froze.
I tend to believe that companies are going to be much more picky about. I tend to think that companies are going to be much more picky about who they employ if they're.
Yeah, it's freezing up.
Paying them $15 an hour.
Jeremy, your AT&T sucks.
Yeah.
I had Comcast in here the other day. I know my shit works okay.
No, but I basically got the gist of what he was saying, and I agree with it. But the corporations like McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, all these companies have, all these fast food restaurants that have parent companies. I think they can afford it across the board. You know what I mean? But then again, I do agree with what Jeremy's saying as far as teenagers are pretty expendable. I mean, as far as giving them jobs and them not having the reliability that an older, adult would have. And let's face it, if a kid's looking for a job, he's going to take it, regardless, just because it's a job. If he's got good work ethic. I mean, if he's going to sit around and be waiting for the prime, salary, I mean, it's not going to, he's going to be waiting a long time, especially at a young age like that. But but like I said, the corporation places, McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, all those, they can afford a little more money.
And speaking of that, I mean, me and Jeremy both worked as managers for a movie theater at the same movie theater. So he took the salaried position that I thought I was going to apply for, but he took it. He applied for it. He got it. And what were you making then, Jeremy? $25,000 a year. And boy, were we psyched to make that.
No. I think I started at it worked out to $11.50 an hour at 40 hours a week.
$11.50. Yeah. Well, what year was that?
Shit, 2008, 2007.
Yeah.
7.
I would take it.
You got salaried then? Oh, okay. So
I worked there from 2005 to 2008, so it would have been 2006, 2007. But I got a whole $1,000 a year bonus, and when I left, I was up to $13 an hour.
Nice.
Rolling in money.
Shit, that's all I got was $1,000.
Now
I got $1,000 raise every year. That was it. 2%. That's what I got.
Now,
and working for WSB.
Oh, sorry. I thought Jeremy freeze up again?
Yeah, he did.
Dang, I knew he was talking. Jeremy, you're killing me. I told this guy the other day, I think I did it in the group message, hey Jeremy, you find a fucking room for yourself so we don't have to hear all the background noise. My wife said, what was that moaning right before the music at the end of the episode last week? And I'm like, well, it wasn't in my room and it wasn't from Vinnie and I don't think Saint was there, so I'm assuming you heard something like a TV or something on Jeremy's open mic.
Yeah. Jeremy's got moaning going on behind in the background.
But then I thought, why would anyone at Jeremy's house be moaning ever?
Yeah, that's true.
From dissatisfaction?
I just meant in general. I don't see him providing anyone pleasure, but I think I'm going to leave this part of the podcast. I like this.
Sure. So, did you have something from Saint this week or not?
No, Saint. I think last I heard, I think he sent it to the group. He's out in the Bering Sea, and so I don't know if he's made any stops at a port or anything like that. So no Saint statement this week. Otherwise, we would have led with that because we learned our lesson last week.
I mean, is he really in the Bering Sea, or is he at some lake somewhere, just putting in a bobber, sitting with a cooler?
You'd have to ask him that question. I have to think that he's probably where he says he is, but I don't know for sure.
I'm sure he is. I would like pictures, though, just to satisfy my curiosity.
We all have green screens now, basically. Here on Zoom, you could do what you want. You can blur your background.
That's true. Yeah, but you could tell.
Yeah. All right. So we left off there. I want to know, did anyone do Jeremy's homework that he assigned us? Vinny, did you do Jeremy's homework?
No, I didn't do any homework. I didn't. I don't really care.
Oh, but Jeremy wants you to care. See, so I did Jeremy's homework.
Because Jeremy brought it up and he's part of the team, I will do some research, but I'll do it for next show.
All right, so we'll hold that for next show. Because I did some research, Jeremy. I'll give you.
You guys can go ahead and talk about it. You don't have to do it. If you guys got something to talk about, go ahead.
I think it's a stupid thing, but Jeremy wanted me to find something that I hate about Biden. So whatever.
No. Just something you don't agree with, not hate.
So again, I don't always agree with every Democrat and everything that comes across. I know you think I do, but that's not how I work. The only thing I could find out of every wonderful, amazing thing he's done to turn back Orange Man's things that he did to this country in 4 years was I don't love the fact that his education czar is trying to reopen schools. I get it from this aspect of apparently mental health issues spiked, and obviously that makes sense with kids being home last year and this year during school year. So I get it from that sense, but schools are just like a petri dish of viruses on a good day. Exactly. And so just sending them back to school, especially with mask enforcement being relied on for the states to do that, and counties and school boards and school district and schools. And it just seems like a dangerous proposition to me. Like our daughter, you know, I think I've told you guys before, we're not sending her back to school for this rest of the school year at least. And then we'll see what happens come the fall. If everything can go well and the administration can get, hopefully, her a vaccine, you know, we'll see. You know, they're saying maybe by the summer, a good majority of Americans that want to be vaccinated can be vaccinated. So I guess we'll cross that bridge later this summer. But that's probably the only thing, man. I mean, I think everything else, I like what they're doing. And I mean, Jeremy, I have a lot of respect for you. I think you're my best friend, but I still can't get. You never told me. Yeah, only probably. No, Vinny's my friend. Saint's my friend.
Well, we tolerate you.
There you go.
Bitch, you came back on my podcast and I restarted. No, like I don't understand. I told people on Facebook this a few months ago, like people who support Trump, and I'm not trying to get into politics because Heather hates politics, but when we touch on it, we touch on it. I can't understand how anyone could vote for him in that last election. Vote for anyone else. I told my dad this. I said, vote for anyone else. Don't vote for Trump. You can vote if you don't want to vote for Biden, whatever. Go vote for any of the 10 other people that somehow wind up on the ballot. But he is such a racist, sexist piece of shit, and I just can't. I can't understand how anyone could vote for him. And again, I'm not trying to start a whole thing because I know we've covered it all, but I don't agree with everything every Democratic president does. You know, like we talked about last week, Clinton had some stuff I didn't agree with. I'm sure Obama had some stuff. But I think overall,
See, I mean, the fact that you say "I'm sure" and have no idea that that stuff would have been.
Clinton was when I was,
because that means you're not paying attention.
Clinton was when I was a teenager, so I mean, I didn't even vote for any of those elections.
But you said "I'm sure" there's some stuff. It just means that if you don't have something you disagree with for a politician, it means you're not paying attention.
No, that's not true. I paid some.
There's got to be something you don't like.
With Biden, no, nothing yet. But he just started. So
I thought you just said the education stuff.
Okay, but okay, yeah. So would you say I don't agree with that? I'd hate. How are you labeling me there?
No, just don't agree with it.
Okay, then that's fine. We'll do with that. So that's it. I just did Jeremy's homework. But hey, Vinny, if you do his homework and then you come back with something next week, because Jeremy's very, he wants to make sure we're all not just AOCs.
Just putting people.
I did it as well.
Yeah,
I did it as well. I like the resolution to buy American. It's a little disingenuous when he kills jobs at the same time, but I at least like the idea that he's saying that he's going to encourage the government to buy American, and that I like that.
I think he has. I mean, what do you say when you say why is it disingenuous? What's he killing?
The Keystone Pipeline killed thousands of union jobs.
Yeah, but that's a bad idea. We shouldn't be relying on oil or fossil fuels, which is good because GM just said that all their cars are going to be electric by 2035. So
we still are relying on them. We're just going to send them by train and truck instead of a pipeline.
I think we should. Let's go back to steam engines.
Steam. Here we go. That means we got to chop down more trees.
You do realize that's what power plants are, right? They're just steam engines. It's just how you heat them up.
Yeah, sure.
That's what every power plant is.
Coal, chugga, 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 choo choo. But he's gonna make.
You're not supposed to be a fan of coal either. I'm saying.
Not. No, but I think that's. You think of trains. Most of the ones you see in old movies were operated by coal, but people probably think of them as steam engines.
Well, wood too.
There you go.
I just saw a movie today with a train that was using wood.
What's that? What movie?
Thomas the Train.
Something called Timber Lake. I don't know. I forget the name of it. It was an old movie. It was about loggers against a rancher. They wanted to chop down all their trees on some certain mountain, and they didn't want. And there was a big thing, and blah blah blah.
You watched a movie that you can't even remember the name of, and you tell me you can't find time to watch one 30-minute episode of WandaVision or Schitt's Creek, but I know you watched.
What do you mean? I watched 6 seasons. I watched 6 seasons of Schitt's Creek.
I just got turned on to that during this whole time where I've been out and with surgery and everything, and I don't know how. I mean, I think I saw the ads on Netflix constantly, and then I remember that they won Best best comedy, and all the actors won last year at the Emmys. Yeah, so I thought, let me give it a shot. And Jeremy will tell you, I typically don't like comedy that's not like full vulgar or old school, very funny but very a teenage kind of sense mentality.
They have some vulgarity.
Yeah, they do. But I think it reminds me of almost real life. Besides the super rich thing, but like they'll just drop like a fuck off or something like it's like they'll just drop it right in there, and that just I loved it. I watched all 6 seasons in like a week, and I enjoyed
it's addictive.
it.
Yeah, it's addictive.
It's
so I watched one episode.
Yeah,
and what did you think?
It's good.
Yeah, they kind of grow on you. The characters kind of grow on you as you watch it.
The mayor character, I was trying to figure out. Chris
Elliott.
Yeah, Chris Elliott.
There you go. I knew who it was. It was just
Well, he's wearing a wig in that show, so.
Yeah.
All right.
Chris Elliott. Chris Elliott basically plays the same guy in everything that he does. It's like
right.
It is. I mean, he does it great. Trust me. I love it.
It's like
he's the
Ron
same
Howard's
guy.
brother. Ron Howard's brother plays the same guy in every movie.
Clint.
He's in every movie.
Clint Howard. Yeah, Clint Howard. Yeah.
Yeah, remember?
He was even in Andy Griffith when Ron Howard was playing Opie, little bald-headed kid.
Wonder if he made it onto Happy Days.
Probably.
He did. Yeah,
I'm sure he did.
Jeremy, I think you should stick with Schitt's Creek because I know you're a big romance fan. There's a lot of romance in the show, but it's done in a funny way, and so I think you'll enjoy it. Vinny, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was great.
So it's the same issue I have with WandaVision. I tend to watch stuff with my wife and kids, and the wife wasn't available to watch it today, so we only watched one episode. That's why I didn't watch WandaVision.
Oh, you didn't watch WandaVision?
WandaVision is on what? Disney
I haven't watched it at all yet.
Yeah. It's on Disney Plus. It's the first Marvel show, basically.
I've seen like the coming attractions and the trailers and stuff, but I don't have Disney Plus.
Okay.
So speaking of Disney Plus and also TV shows and things coming back, I'm sitting at lunch today and get a little alert on my phone. No, I don't know if it was Facebook or what, but saw the alert that there is a Mighty Ducks TV series coming out on Disney Plus, and it just made me think. Okay, Mighty Ducks, Cobra Kai, Fuller House, Girl Meets World. And I'm sure there's a couple others I'm not thinking of that.
You said Saved by the Bell.
How are they just going to recycle?
Saved by the Bell.
They just Saved by the Bell. That's the other one I couldn't remember. Yeah. But are they just going to recycle every show from the 80s and 90s? They're just try to get that audience back again?
Yeah, they're regurgitating everything that from back then. There's like no original ideas. I mean, I love those shows, the originals, but I watched one episode of Fuller House. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And then
I wouldn't have admitted that.
And then Mad About You we saw Mad About You on one of these channels, me and my girlfriend, and we're like, hey, let's watch an episode of that. When they made like 2 seasons of it or some shit. I don't remember, but it was fucking. Do you guys remember that show, Mad About You, at all?
I do.
They came back with a revival. I don't even remember that.
Yes, they did. Yeah, well, it's easy to forget.
Up at the end of the shit run.
Didn't
they get a divorce?
I don't remember how it ended, but it starts. They got a kid now, and she's going to college, and all this kind of shit. She's moving out of the house, and they're all sad. And the college is like 5 blocks away, and it was just horrible. Paul Reiser was not funny at all, and Helen Hunt, all she did was whine the whole fucking show. And I was like, you know what? I'll never watch this fucking show again.
Shit, I forgot Roseanne. Oh, geez, how'd I forget they brought Roseanne?
Yeah, Roseanne.
Back?
Yeah, right.
Because it's not Roseanne anymore.
Yeah. Well, now it's the Connors. Yeah. So
I wonder if she's still getting paid.
I don't know. I bet they bought her out
because she was a producer on the show.
Yeah, I bet they bought her out. I'd have to look. I think I remember reading something about them buying her out. I could be wrong, but they don't. They after that. What
personally, I hope.
But
I hope Tom Arnold's getting paid.
Jesus,
has he shown back up?
Is he alive still?
Yeah, no. He was an executive producer back in the day.
He's a big.
Back in the day, he was. Yeah, it's because he was fucking Roseanne.
He's a big conspiracy.
Gotta get paid for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say he should have been president for fucking Roseanne.
He's a big conspiracy theory guy now, I think. Not like crazy, not like Randy Quaid crazy, but I've seen on Twitter, he has a lot of like conspiracy stuff. So I think that's what he's up to right now.
Something.
Yeah, I mean, I think the nostalgia TV goes to the 80s kids and 90s kids, like me and Jeremy and, Vinnie to an extent.
Early 80s stuff, yeah.
Yeah. No, but I mean, we're hitting our age where the baby boomers probably became the baby boomers. And, so I'm sure, I can't point anything out right now. Maybe you guys can think of anything. Maybe in the
They didn't have TV when they were kids.
But I mean, we grew up and it's so ingrained in us. And so if someone can come up with any kind of concept to bring it back, especially with the original characters or original actors, for them to make a few bucks.
Well, on the same token, I said that nobody can come up with any good ideas. Any of the shows that have come on that are new ideas have sucked anyway. So, maybe that's why they're going back to the old ones, but they're making them shitty. They suck. They're not. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get past the fact that you watched Fuller House.
I watched Fuller House. I had to see what it was about. All right?
I don't think I could watch Fuller House. Like, I watched Cobra Kai. I might give Mighty Ducks an episode. It's got Emilio Estevez back. Maybe they can get some of the other actors back. I don't know what Josh Jackson is
They got
doing.
Lauren Graham.
Lauren Graham wasn't in the originals, was she?
No, but they have Lauren Graham.
Yeah,
Lauren
That's
Graham
worth watching.
Whatever. She's all
Come
right.
on, Lorelai Gilmore.
Bad Santa lady.
Oh yeah, she was in that one with Steve Carell with the Ark. What was the name of that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know. Evan Almighty.
I don't either.
Evan Almighty. There you go.
It takes me a minute. I can do the whole 6 degrees of separation. If you give me 2 actors, I can put them together eventually.
Yeah.
Jeremy Jackson, was that the star of Mighty Ducks?
No, it's Josh Jackson, wasn't it?
Charlie.
It was Charlie, wasn't it? Oh, Charlie was the kid.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, Charlie's a kid. Yeah.
They can get that guy who's in the Sober House now, who just
Rehab.
he's getting all his teeth back.
Yeah.
What was his name? Goldberg. Yeah.
Goldberg.
He was a huge meth addict.
I just saw him.
Yeah. So he's looking healthy, man. He's looking good. So I mean, hey, props to him.
He said it's a year sober.
A year, yeah. He just celebrated. He didn't celebrate Christmas in order so he could celebrate Christmas on his sober anniversary. So hey, man, props to him. Listen, drug addiction is no joke. So if he hopefully he stays the course, and hey, throw him a bone, bring him on the show. He's not going to be as full as he was Goldberg in the movies, but they can bring him back, throw him an assistant coach role or something. I don't know. We'll see what's going on. But there have been a few deaths this week from Celebrity World. Today, Cicely Tyson. I'm not really knowledgeable about her work. I think she would, pop up in some of the movies I see, but I don't know. I can't even point to any of those. I know she won. Did she win an Oscar or had a big role in the 70s? I don't know, Vinny, if you know anything about that, or Jeremy.
The story of Marion Pittman or something like that.
Something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was around the time when Roots was out and stuff, and they were doing a lot of movies about those times of slavery and such. And she happened to be a character who grew up as a slave, so there was a movie on that. And yeah, I could see the autobiography of Jane Pittman or something like that.
I mean, she was 96, I think. So, I mean, it's not shocking. We should have had the whole death pool thing going for.
Yeah,
I don't know if anyone would have guessed her. We all said Betty White because she's 99 now, but she's never going to die. She's going to outlive us all. She's like a cockroach. She's just going to be the last thing on Earth. Nuclear war is going to happen. And
that might be the Queen.
Yeah.
The Queen? What?
The Queen cockroach?
Queen Elizabeth.
The Queen. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she is. Dude,
imagine being her son.
I know,
He's been second to the throne for like 70 years.
No, he's going to die before. He's going to die before he takes the throne.
He's going to die before she does. He's right.
I'm sure they're hoping.
Have you guys? I know we talked a little bit. Have either of you seen The Crown?
I saw a few episodes of it, but back when it first started. So
yeah, I watched season 1, I think. But
so I know
haven't caught up with it.
I mean, I know it's a fictionalized, quote unquote, because that's what they have to say so they don't get sued. But like in the later seasons, the Prince Charles that they have, he is a total douche. And so like if he is anything like that in real life, and the whole thing with him and Princess Diana.
I've heard he's a douche. I've heard he's a douche before.
I mean, I get, why Prince Harry and Meghan leave. Apparently Prince William is real. They're sticklers to the rules. They're sticklers to the crown, is what they call it. You guys have seen the series. They have to follow whatever the crown says. They are the crown. They are the monarchy. And so, if you disagree with that, like who's the king before her father? Was it Edward? Is his real name? I think he left because he wanted to marry the American. Yeah, and she was a divorcee, and they can't allow that. It's just it's a weird,
pretty big Nazi fan too. So that was probably a good thing.
They covered that in the Crown too. That was interesting.
Yeah. Not to the extent he was.
They're just another dysfunctional family that wear fancy clothes.
I will never understand a constitutional monarchy. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like what role they play in government. Like. It doesn't.
I think they make the country money through tourism at this point.
I guess, yeah. That's probably.
I would imagine. Yeah.
And the other big death, more for me. I mean, assuming you guys too. Cloris Leachman. She was 94.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, she'll always be Frau Blucher from Young Frankenstein.
Absolutely.
I hear the horses neighing.
Yeah. She was awesome, man.
That's the best for me. Jeremy, tell me you've seen Young Frankenstein. You're a comedy fan.
Oh my God.
Jeremy, you have to watch Young Frankenstein. You can show it to the boys. It is great.
Yeah, it's funny, man. You'd enjoy it.
It's got Gene Wilder. Who played Igor? Marty Feldman.
Marty Feldman, yeah.
He is genius. I love
Hilarious.
Terry Garr. I mean, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
one of the best. But she died. But she was 94 too. I mean, but she seemed like, to me, she was always old, because I never knew her from Mary Tyler Moore or anything like that. I knew her from Young Frankenstein.
I remember that. I remember from that.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, she was like in the Beverly Hillbillies movie, or she was like grandmother on Malcolm in the Middle, or something like that. You know what I mean? So she was always the old lady to me, and so I guess it wasn't. It was more shocking to me that she was alive. I knew I hadn't heard of her dying, but I don't know. That's So there are two big deaths for this week that I can think of. And did you guys see? Speaking of death, not to get on our death thing from last week, but another Capitol policeman.
Committed suicide.
Yeah, and I think it happened like 2 weeks ago, and they're just announcing it now.
Oh, is that right?
Something to that effect.
Yeah, because I just read about it, so I didn't.
Yeah, no.
I thought it just happened.
I could be totally wrong. I don't have the article in front of me. I know AOC said something about like it just happened yesterday, but I thought an article I thought it said it happened on the 15th. And so, I mean,
maybe that was the first guy.
Maybe. I mean, listen, the trauma from that day, and again, we're not gonna keep harping on it and going back to it, but I mean, I'm sure I don't think it's guilty conscience, two guys, I don't think it's two guys like that let people in and are now regretting it. I mean, that's a trauma, just the leadership failed them in the Capitol that day, and these guys, I guess they couldn't deal with it, and they probably had other stuff going on. I don't want to speculate, but
that's the whole thing. You don't know what's going on in these guys' heads. I mean, they might have been thinking about that before this shit even happened at the Capitol. You never know. And this was just the straw that broke the camel's back. But, I mean, you can't save somebody from themselves. I mean, you don't know what somebody's thinking from one day to the next. So you have to take that ultimate, make that ultimate choice.
Right. Jeremy, speaking of the homework you gave me, I want to know, can you fill me in? Maybe Vinnie too. I don't know enough about foreign stuff, really. Israel, Palestine. So Trump was a big fan of Israel and supporting Israel and all that stuff. And I'll support Israel. I got no problem with that. I'm not like saying they shouldn't have any land or anything, but like Biden just reversed that and allowed Palestine to get something. Do you guys know anything about this latest news?
Israel, Trump was making Israel a little, I don't want to say too powerful, but he was, in plain words, he was kind of shitting on the Palestinians, so on Palestine. So, it was taking lands away from them and stuff like that, and giving them to Israel.
I mean, I know he recognized Israel and Jerusalem. He put he put the Israeli embassy in Jerusalem.
Yeah, he changed the capital from Tel Aviv.
He got like 4 different countries to recognize Israel as a nation and sign a truce or whatever you want to call it between them and 4 different Arab nations. I'm not sure which part Biden's walking back.
Yeah, I have to read more about that. I should have been more specific about that. I saw it the other day, and I never understand all that. Like, unless I do a deep dive where I learn more about it, I just never seem to grasp on. And maybe it just doesn't interest me enough, and that's a shitty thing to say, maybe. But I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just I need to have some kind of investment in something to be able to pay attention.
I knew very little about it to begin with, but then when you put it on the list, I went and I looked it up. So
gotcha.
That's really that's really the only way I knew what Trump had done. So
I'm really glad you're paying attention to the list.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't want to be out of everything.
Speaking, hey, do you guys know that we expanded our listenership this week? I think the advertising that I purchased is working a little. We have 2% of our listenership is from Canada. Thank you.
The Great White North, baby.
Oh, Canada. So, hey, Canadians, if you're listening, pass the word, man. And also, I don't want to discount those Filipino listeners because I think. Go ahead.
I'll tell you what.
Single.
It said 1%, man. It didn't say one listener. It said 1%.
Hey, the more we shit on our own country, the more we're going to get foreign listeners. Trust me.
Well, I put the advertising in all the English speaking countries I could think of. I put it in UK, Ireland, Canada, Australia, the big ones. That are based off
the big ones.
Well, no, the ones that are basically from the United Kingdom that sprung off of them in some one form or another. Hey, if it's working, it's working. I just want to get some more people. I want people to pass the word. I think we do a little bit of an entertaining thing. People like it. I don't know if you've seen our ratings on Apple Podcasts, but we have 5-star ratings from 5 people. There you go. 5.0 rating.
I love those people.
How did you get Heather to vote 5 times?
Listen, I didn't. Heather voted on her own accord, and she did it without telling me. And she says she actually enjoys the podcast. She looks forward to listening to the new episodes. She does say she skips past the podcast, the politics stuff. She doesn't like that. She gets enough of that. But Saint also voted.
Between you and your dad.
My dad. Oh, my dad the other day. Oh my God. Listen, I love my dad.
Moving on.
Great guy. I can't politics.
What else is on the list?
I wanted to talk about the perfect dinosaur butthole, but I really don't have much on that.
Yeah,
I saw that too. The perfect dinosaur butthole.
They found a fossil. Yeah, they found a fossil, and it's
fossil of an asshole.
It's the perfect cloaca, is what they call it. And so they now know what the cloaca of what a dinosaur looks like. And a cloaca is, I guess, the thing they pee out of. They poop out of. It's multifunctional, and so some animals some animals nowadays have the same thing.
It's a unidick. It's a unidick.
I assume it's what a bird has.
Is that what it is?
I assume, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what a bird has, right?
Because they evolved.
Wasn't that the big thing in Jurassic Park that they all evolved into birds?
Except they didn't put the feathers on them in Jurassic Park like they should have.
Yeah, that's right. Shit, did you guys see that this week? Did I send that to you? The Pee Wee Herman Jurassic Park thing?
I saw the picture.
Oh, you guys need to watch that. It is hilarious. They put Pee Wee Herman into Jurassic Park. Instead of the dinosaurs, it's all Pee Wee Herman.
It's all Pee Wee Hermans.
It literally made me laugh out loud. It's like, it's hilarious. Whoever edited it, I think it's Pixel something. I wish I could give them proper credit. They did a great job editing this trailer. It's amazing. Really, I highly recommend to check it out. Just Google it. Pee Wee Herman Jurassic Park. You'll find it. It's funny. And I want to get back to something you said earlier. GM
2035, all electric cars. Yeah,
I
haven't seen the article. Do they plan on building infrastructure in for charging, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, no shit.
Since Biden, and I have no idea what Biden's thinking, but since he's making the whole federal fleet electric, I assume that infrastructure is going to be a big thing. Would that be under Buttigieg if he gets approved, or no? Is infrastructure a different department? Okay.
Well, I have quite a few people I know that own Teslas of one type or another, and they all
because you're rolling in dough.
Well, they all like them for local travel, but I only know one of them that's actually tried to go further than like Orlando, which is 110, 15 miles or whatever at most.
Yeah,
because he had to go a completely different route to get to Ohio because he had to plan his trip around where he could find chargers. That was a couple years ago. It'd be better now, but even then, you stop at a charger and you're stuck there for half an hour to get enough charge to go another 200 miles. That's fairly inconvenient. I don't think the technology's there yet to make it where people are going to want to adopt that.
Yeah, infrastructure would be a definite problem as far as making all cars electric. But I was going to say I worked with a guy who had an electric car, and he only got 80 miles on a charge. So his round trip, I believe, was like 60. So every night he's charging, not a big deal. It's the only car he used to go to work and back. But he had to use his other cars, the gas-powered vehicles to go anywhere else.
Yeah, so I think that's the whole thing. Like, that's unfortunately, I looked into, and never could afford it, but I looked into Teslas or actually I looked into several other electric vehicles when I was, looking at purchasing a car a few years ago. And I mean, I think the max you can get is like 200 miles, and that's best case scenario. And so
some of the more expensive Teslas will get you 350, 400 now.
But I mean, even that's not even going to get you out of the state of Florida, So I mean, you have to plan ahead for that. And the manufacturers, GM, Tesla, I don't think.
Well, Tesla's the only one I've seen really put in any kind of their own infrastructure.
Yeah,
and I really haven't seen anybody else going towards it. And you got other companies that'll build chargers, but some of them the cost is as much as a tank of gas. You're not saving anything. And you're paying more for the car.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that remains to be seen. I don't think it mentioned in the article the infrastructure, but I think they're relying on a mix of federal government, and hopefully they have a plan in place. But I admire their ambition to get off of fossil fuels, because I mean, I'm big into the environment and things like that. So.
Again, it doesn't help to get the cars off the road if you're burning natural gas to make the electricity to put in those cars.
Right.
You're just changing where you're getting burning the fossil fuels at that point.
I'm not a natural gas supporter either, man. I think nuclear is dangerous, but with you operating it, but I want to be clean, man.
Should have seen that coming.
I want some wind energy. I want more solar energy. Didn't FPL put out something about the state being 100% solar in the next decade or something? Am I wrong on that, Jeremy? Do you know anything about that?
They're doing more. They're doing more solar, but you can't be 100% unless the battery technology is a lot better than it is right now. Yeah. You gotta be able to make power at night still. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
And wind. The problem with wind and solar, in my mind, is the wind turbines. Once they break down, nobody's fixing them. They just walk away from them. In solar, there's a lot of nasty heavy metals involved in making and building
the panels.
Solar plants. There's not exactly as environmentally friendly as people would like to think they are.
Right.
But that's just at the manufacturing level, right? Not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then eventually, what do you do with them when their lifespan is done?
Yeah.
You got to recycle them, or are you recycling them, or are you paying somebody to let them throw them in your backyard and forget about them? Let them rot away. Some of the stuff is, like the wind turbines, I don't know for sure, but I've read somewhere that they're not recyclable. You can't do anything with them once they're done, and once they're done, they're done.
Yeah. So these solar panels have a lifespan. They're not.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like any other electronic. It's you're gonna eventually have issues with them, and gonna need to improve.
Right.
But hopefully they can get more efficient as well. But they got to build batteries, and battery technology is not always the cleanest technology either.
No, I wouldn't imagine.
Lithium and all that stuff is,
Sure, poisonous.
Yeah.
We should just...
involves mining and...
Yeah, we should just kill the world. Let's just let it go to shit, because it's going to shit anyway. What are we going to die in? What's the doomsday clock's at 100 seconds? We're going to die in by 2050? 2050 the planet's going to go to shit? I don't know.
2050. I've been hearing different years as long as I've been alive. Yeah. 1990, the world's going to blow up. 2000, the world's going to blow up.
Mayan calendar.
I love when, what was it, 2012 was the Mayan calendar date, right? And then they were like, oh, we were reading it wrong. It's actually 2 years later or something like that, and it didn't happen again.
Was it upside down? They were reading it upside down.
They said it wasn't based on the Gregorian calendars. I don't know. It was funny.
Speaking of which, where's acid rain? Because that was a big deal when I was in elementary school. Acid rain was going to kill us all What happened to acid rain?
Did it go away? Did acid rain go away?
You don't hear about the ozone layer anymore. You don't hear about acid rain anymore. It's like these things just come and go. Like,
I miss
did we
those
fix
days.
it?
I miss
Is
those
it still
days.
there?
I miss those days of acid rain.
That was a huge deal when I was a kid. That was the thing that was going to get us.
The ozone layer.
Then it was the ozone layer.
The ozone layer is still a thing, but we've done enough to backtrack, I think, with the chlorofluorocarbons and whatnot.
Yeah,
and
wasn't
using
it
less products?
Wasn't it fixing itself or something at one point? The ozone was fixing itself.
Yeah, because we're using less
CFCs. That word up.
Yeah.
Me? No, I did a little. I've done a little research. The CFCs, the sprays that were invented like in the 60s. Yeah. So I think the companies moved away from them enough to where the ozone layer was able to repair itself a little. But you still see these icebergs the size of Rhode Island falling off Antarctica, and heading for whatever island chain is down there and going to smash right into the island chain. And that's the global warming that we're dealing with now. Plus the the highest temperatures ever. And I think last year was one of the highest recorded years on record. So unfortunately that's just the way things are going. But
but as far as global warming is concerned, how long is that going to take to destroy the planet?
I don't know.
Has anybody said? I'm not saying it's not happening, but how long does it have to happen for it to be, an emergency?
I hope to live forever, so I'll let you know when it happens.
Let me know. Let me know. My ashes will be floating in some lake somewhere. You can scoop me out and tell me.
Hey, all right. So the one thing we haven't talked about so far,
what's that?
Is, on the list is Challenger.
That's not the only thing, but we can save the rest of the stuff for next week. So Challenger is very important because today's the date.
Today is the day.
Today's 35 years.
Yep.
I personally was so let's do this. I was in school that day, and for some reason that is the first shuttle launch I can remember happening as a kid where we did not go outside to watch it at my school.
Really?
So I didn't find out about that until I think I got home that day. Mike?
I can't recall. I know I was living in New York. I remember I have a vague memory of like my mom being really upset about it. And so I think I was in kindergarten, right, Jeremy? Because we were same year. So we were in kindergarten, right?
Maybe first grade.
Well, for me, I was 6, so it should have been kindergarten. But I might have been it might have been a half day. I don't know, because I know it happened at 11:38 a.m. So, and that would be New York, same as Florida time. That's the only memory I have is like my mom, and I know I used to have a Challenger picture hanging in my room when I was growing up, and I like I told you guys, I just watched the documentary on Netflix, Challenger: The Final Flight. It's 4 episodes long. It's really well done. It got me really depressed in some parts, but
just a depressing thing.
It's just
Vinnie, you were in your mid-30s back then, so where would you have been?
Right. I was, in fact, I was home and I just had cable installed in my house, and the guy got done. I turned on the TV, and just in time for the launch. Not when it was just taken off, but just in time to, watch the program leading up to it taking off. So yeah, I just gotten cable that day, hooked up, turned on the TV and watched that happen. So yeah, it was amazing. Because a lot of people, when it first happened, didn't really know what happened. When it actually blew up, everybody was like, well, where are they? So it was pretty traumatic, actually,
So Mike, does your documentary go into that part of it? Yeah, we didn't tell you at the time, but yeah, they didn't probably die from the explosion. It was a few minutes later that.
So it goes into that a little bit because at one point at the end, someone mentioned something about like disintegrate. Was it disintegration or was that something else? And I'm like, no, they didn't disintegrate because they also mentioned how they found the remains and they found the cockpit at the bottom of the Atlantic in the shallow depths. It's the first time I learned
like four of the 7 emergency oxygen systems were activated and that had to be done manually. So they know people were alive.
We're still alive.
Yeah, and so I mean, just thinking about that, them falling from thousands of feet up.
Right.
I mean,
so they fell to their death.
Yeah. That's just crazy. But I mean, if you watch the documentary and you just hear about, I didn't know a lot of this stuff. I didn't know that there were these guys from NASA that knew about the faulty O-rings that were happening in the prior shuttle missions, and that they were told by the manufacturers of the solid rocket boosters that this is not a good idea. The temperatures are too cold. You shouldn't go below 53 degrees. If it's below 50 degrees, do not launch. And NASA had missed the prior 2 days. The first time because they thought there was going to be bad weather. Second time because I think there was lightning or something like that. And so they skipped it to the third day. And they were under pressure from Congress because they told Congress they would launch like 16 a year or something like that, 24 a year, something like that. And they had only launched 9 the year before. And so they were under pressure. But that's no excuse. I understand like exploration and technology involves a certain amount of risk. But if you're told by the manufacturers of the 2 rocket boosters, which are basically things waiting to explode on the side of the thing that you're riding in up to space, if you're told that, hey, it's not a good idea that we do it, then go with that. It's just, it's unforgivable. And I was shocked that no one was like charged with any manslaughter or anything like that. That's what it should be. It should be manslaughter. I mean, at the very least.
Yeah. Now the thing is, astronauts, their life could end at any time, so go ahead and push it if you want to with your astronauts. But when you have a civilian on there, then you got to take that in consideration. They should have not launched, at that time. I mean, Congress be damned, they do the right thing and keep the people alive. I'm a little shocked at that, that NASA pushed through like that because they know what these guys go through and can lose their life at any time. And if there's any type of risk, why would you take it?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, give it a watch. I mean, I highly recommend it. I watched it all this morning. It was really eye opening for me, knowing a little bit that I knew, but then there was a lot that I didn't. It's got interviews with like all the surviving family members. It's got interviews with all the surviving people, including the guys who, in my opinion, should have been charged with manslaughter. And to this day, they're like, I would make the same decision again if I had to do it again today. And I'm like, fuck you. 7 people died. It's not like you didn't know. It's not like they were on their way to Mars and something happened that you had no idea was going to happen. That's different. This is, oh, hey, we knew that this might happen.
Yeah.
If you watch the first news conference that they did after everything happened, they talk about, there was a plume on the side of one of the solid rocket boosters, and they show a picture, and it's obviously a flame that's coming out of the side where it shouldn't be coming from. And so one of the journalists that was there goes, you mean the flame that's coming out? Is that what you're talking about when you say plume? And the guy kind of smirks. You see a corner of his mouth go up, and he goes, no, I mean plume, because that's all he was authorized to say at that time. And so just the way they were downplaying things with everything they knew, and once it all came out, it's really eye-opening.
Yeah, it sounds worth a watch for sure, definitely.
Yeah.
And would you say that was on? It's on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Really, it was on my list. I just started Peaky Blinders too, so I mean, I'm running through Netflix.
So it's a 3-episode thing. It's not.
I think it's 4 episodes.
Oh, 4 episodes.
Yeah,
okay.
it's about 40 minutes each. Whatever it takes to tell that part of the story. It's really good. You get to know the astronauts a little bit more than everyone knows Kristen McAuliffe pretty much, but if you don't know the other guys, you learn a little bit more about them.
I couldn't name one of the other astronauts.
I didn't know one of the other people on the shuttle wasn't an astronaut. He was just a payload specialist who worked for an engineering company.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, he was there. Greg, I'm doing him injustice. Greg Jarvis, I think his name was. He was going up with the payload that was going up with the shuttle. He was just there to help with that. So basically, it's almost 2 civilians, 1.5 if you want to say. He was working for like a government engineering thing or whatnot. Right. But it's crazy. It's crazy stuff. But we've gone for an hour and a half, or so. Anything else we want to cover this week, guys?
I think we're pretty. I think about 20 minutes of that was me trying to get my internet figured out. So,
That's right. We got to cut that out. We're not leaving, guys. If you're hearing that, we're not leaving the part in where Jeremy had to fiddle around with his AT&T shitty fiber for 20-30 minutes. I don't know.
That's right.
But I think that's good. We'll have our interview tomorrow with State Representative Escamani. So we got a special episode coming out. I'll put that out as soon as I can. We'll ask whatever we can, whatever questions we have. Again, if you have any questions, I'll get to them if I can before the morning, and I'll see if there's anything specific anyone wants us to ask. That's 240-724-6877. That's 240-SAINTS, SAINTSS, because I've never spelled it before. We'll play your voicemail or take your questions, topics, comments, blah, blah, blah. You can email us at usualsaints@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at The Usual Saints. I'm thinking about putting up our old Vinnie T show and Carl Saint experience. I don't know.
Boy.
We'll see.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
We'll see. I don't think I can put up our old shows though, unfortunately, guys, because I talked to Anchor, who hosts our podcast and puts them up, and I've removed all the music because I know that's a sticking point. But I asked him, what about drops? Because every radio show you listen to, they have drops, right?
Oh, drops.
They have drops like, from Family Guy. We Saint used to put like Family Guy, like Stewie drops or Full Metal Jacket drops, things like that.
Right. Sure.
They're saying no. Anything that's not we don't own we can't put out. And I said, so you're going to I'm going to risk the chance of removing my entire podcast channel and all my podcasts.
Just tell them you bought it and you lost the receipt. I lost the receipt. I don't have it. I'm sorry. They're mine. I wish I could prove it, but I can't.
Oh, Vinny, I love you, man. All right. So that's it for this week, guys. We'll have our special episode tomorrow. And for Jeremy and Vinny, this is Mike D. Thanks for listening to The Usual Saints.
Peace.
Jeremy never has an out. He's the quiet one.
That's his thing.
He talks a lot more than he used to.
The ends of these, when we just bullshit on our own, probably should keep that in.
Yeah, exactly.
This right here?
Some of our funniest stuff happens before and after we start the show.
I know.
I can leave this in. That's fine. I don't care.